Only a few months ago, I reviewed the ADO A20, and they are back with this new release here, which is called the A20F. The F, of course, stands for fat wheels. So this model has 20-inch rims and 4-inch wide wheels, which I happen to like. They do add to the comfort, being just nice and big and cushy. This particular bike, like the A20, is foldable, so the handlebars come down. This folds in half right here, and it is powered by a 350-watt motor. The battery capacity, which is also removable, is 10.4 amp hours or 374 watt hours. So in this in-depth review, I'll go over the build, the design, the components they have used in it, what the ride quality is like, and my experiences with this, braking performance, climbs over rough terrain, and most importantly, what kind of range can you expect out of an e-bike like this. So the box it came in was a little bit beat up, and they could have honestly put a little bit more padding around the sides, I felt. However, it did come out of the box undamaged. All you need to do is just install the handlebars. It does have a charger in the box, which is 84 watts, and it will take around 6 to 7 hours to fully charge the battery in this one. So let's go over the build and the design now of the A20F. Of course, the F, as mentioned, stands for the fat wheels, and it is a different model, quite a bit different to the A20. Mostly the tires, but a larger frame on it too, and that means it is heavier. So this one's about 26.5 kilos. And to accommodate that additional width of the tires being 4 inches, there are some changes with the frame versus the A20. So this bar here is a lot wider, and I actually like the style and look of this bike versus the A20 with the fatter wheels. Of course, the 4 inches, 20-inch rims. We've got 160mm disc brakes, mechanical ones, so they're not hydraulic. I really wish they were. A very sturdy kickstand right here, and the welds are very good. And the frame here, where it does have the hinge, very strong. I like the way it meets up together. Nice and flush, and when you're riding it, it does not feel like a foldable bike. A very rigid, strong frame too. That's probably why it's so heavy. Got a handle right here, adjustable seat post, so it can go right up and right down to a very low position. So it basically caters for all riders. The handlebars fold down and they are adjustable too, and I'll show you that shortly. So this is our charging port right here. Just like the A20, it does not have a dust cover over it for some reason. Whether it came off in transit, I don't know, but it probably should have one just to stop any water getting in there where the removable battery is housed within here. So you can see a little bit of cables along here. Cable management seems to be okay. It's external, of course, because we need the battery to be inside here. And then we have a key. So you get two, there's a spare one, and that battery is lockable with inside, and that's how you turn it on and off, and you can remove it and charge it indoors. Front wheel the same, so we've got the 160mm mechanical disc brakes here, and a front shock here. This is a no-name brand one. Now it looks like we might have about 4 to 5 inches of travel, or about 4 inches there, but really the travel's only up to about here, about 2.5 inches. But it is a better shock than what we had with the A20. This one does not bottom out. On the A20, I would find that the front tire would actually strike the mudguard, and it doesn't happen here, and of course we don't have mudguards. And the same front headlight as the A20, what I've seen on some other e-bike brands as well from China, is this powerful 4 LED headlight on the front. Now I do like this one. It is bright and you can't even see it in daylight. And like basically all of these cheaper brands of e-bikes, they are using Shimano. So we have the 7-speed right here, Shimano Derailleur, and it is aligned perfectly from the factory. I don't have any issues going through the 7 gears, and it's better than having just a single gear, which some e-bikes I've reviewed in the channel do have. I prefer putting it into a lower gear to help me up the hills when I'm pedaling myself. And then our crank here at the front does have a plastic guard around the outside of it. The chain brand is from KMC, so it is good to see for the drivetrain they are using at least brand components here. And this is where we have a minor change here. So with this latch here, they used to have a security that would slot down into it. It's now incorporated into it where you will fold the bike. And you simply need to, well, there's open here, and you pull that up and it releases. It does rattle a tiny little bit, and I sometimes hear it when going over bumps. And the way to open it up is simply push that, and then you need to pull this lever out, of course, and then it unlatches. And you can see this is where the battery actually locks in place. So if I move that key there, you see that will go in. And the design of this and the build here, very strong. And again, I do like the welds, and the finish off this frame is better than the A20 that I reviewed. So a standard size seat here, there are no springs in it, there is no shock in the seat post either, and as I mentioned before, it's adjustable so it can go right down really low. We do have a reflector at the rear, and I've just added my own LED rear tail light here, so that is what it is missing. I really wish they would incorporate a tail light into these e-bikes, which most brands don't actually. And then in the rear hub right here, you'll find our motor. So this one, 350 watts, 36 volts, and it's powered by that 10.4 amp hour battery. And this is what it looks like in its folded form. So this makes it a lot easier to place this in the boot of a car or the trunk and transport around, or store it under some stairs, for example. And our handlebars right here. So we've got a USB port here that's powered, so you could charge your phone if you decide to use the phone holder that they do include in the box. Now it's quite cheap and tacky, and I didn't really like it, so I didn't end up mounting it in the end. Our Shimano 7-speed gear selector here, so this is going down the gears, pressing this is to go up. Now they don't have lock grips on this. We do have right here an accelerator, which is used in the assist mode 2 and 3. And this is our computer right here. So I will power that on for you, but just as I do that, just to show you that we've got your typical lights on and off, so that switches in and stays on. In the on position, I leave it. And right here we do have a buzzer, which is very loud. I'll give you a sample of that now. So here with the computer, it is the S866. I've seen this on various other different e-bikes out of China. So assist mode 1, when you pedal, the sensor there will give you a bit of a boost. It detects that. But on level 2 and 3, you must use then the accelerator to get the pedal assist. So tapping right here, we can go through and see our voltage, time, the odometer, and trip meter. I'll let you know the mileage I can get out of this towards the end of the review, of course, after I've tested this for a few days. This is just my first day with it as I'm recording this. So this is backlit too as well, so you can make it out at night, and you can also read and make this out in direct sunlight, which is great. And as for our brake levers here, pretty standard, okay quality. There's no sharp edges on this at all. And they do need a bit of an adjustment as you get it out of the box, which is typical and standard. So what I do is just tighten this up to make sure we could pull through the cable on the end just a little more to make sure they give you just the kind of feedback you want from your brakes. But I'll be doing a braking test later on in this review, and I'll let you know about their performance. Okay, so what's it like to ride? So pedal assist mode number 1 will automatically give me a little bit of power to the motor to help me up the climbs. And it detects you pedaling straight away, and it does that. Now you must be on 2 or 3 pedal assist modes, and then use the accelerator to get up, for example, little climbs like this one here, which is not a problem at all for this bike, but I'll be testing out a larger climb soon here. Now the geometry of the frame here, it's comfortable, plenty of room. Like my knees, they're not even near the handlebars. Like I've got more than about 2 hand widths away from the bars there, my knees, so very comfortable, plenty of room. And for my climb and brake test, so this is a steep climb up ahead. It's about 25 degrees, the gradient on this one, 25-30. Let's see how the A20F handles this. So this climb on level 2, very easy actually. I'm in a lower gear, or in fact the lowest gear. Having to work a little bit. So assist level 3, slightly easy. I could even in fact go up a few gears here. And now starting to get up this hill. So much easier, but you still have to work a bit on these steeper hills. These climbs, you're going to have to pedal. So one thing I like about these tires is the noise of them. They're very loud. Braking test here now. So up to 37, full on the brakes. And not too bad. That could definitely be a lot better. I feel it really does need hydraulics. These bikes, especially with the speed of them and the weight of them, really do need hydraulic brakes. Now riding along some very rough cobbles here. It's up and down and all over the place. Now because these are fat tires, they are helping soak up a lot of the bumps here. So it is more comfortable than that of the A20 model with its standard size tires. The front shock is basically not really doing anything, and I can hear some rattling coming from the battery that is within the frame. Now maximum speed, 25 kilometers per hour. I can get a little over that, but it is limited and I have not unlocked it. So arriving now to the end of Las Rodas, the typical route that I do with these e-bikes and e-scooters. A little overcast today and busy with a lot of traffic and people getting in the way, opening doors. Here we go, I've made it to the end. Now let's talk a little bit about the range you can get out of this. So I currently have done 35 kilometers on this and 2 bars are showing when I'm not using it. But once I start to use the motor, it will drop down to 1 bar. So really, I think I can get another possible 5-10 kilometers more. So that brings the range for my weight of 80 kilos around 45 kilometers, which is very average there. So make sure you factor that in if you're going to be buying one of these and you expect to be able to do, say, 60 kilometers. That's not going to be possible, at least not at my weight. And I did do quite a few climbs. So I went at least up 3 big climbs, and that has a huge impact on the battery life. It really does burn through it. And most of the time I was on the accelerator and on level 3. So the pedal assist on this one, like the A20, is not one of the favorite things. I think the pedal assist on this is not a good system because they use just level 1 to give you the pedal assist when you're pedaling. It detects it, the crank sensor right here, and then it will give you some assistance. But if you want to use the accelerator grip right here, you need to use then level 2 and 3. Now I have seen on their website that this model, when it's going to be sold on Indiegogo, they have changed the controller in it. So it won't be like my one here. It's going to have what I would call like a normal pedal assist levels to it. So level 1 will be like 25%, level 2, 50% I believe, and level 3, I believe then will be about 75% assistance. And then you can use the accelerator trigger on the grip here, to be able to get 100% power then and up to 35 kilometers per hour if you unlock it. Now, the build quality of this one, the frame is certainly better than the A20. The finish of the paint job, the welds, and where it meets up, and then the latch mechanism, I like. It feels a lot more secure. I like the way that they've incorporated that latch with an all-in-one safety lock to it. And then the handlebars is about the same. Now, just putting on both of those brakes, it really doesn't move around. There's not a lot of play in the frame, and I like how large this frame is. So the seat can go up quite high, you can drop it down very low as well, and the handlebars are relatively high and they can go even higher, which I don't believe a lot of people would be messing about with that really. So it can cater for all riders, the size of it. Now, braking performance I would not rate as wonderful. These are mechanical disc brakes, they're no-name brand brakes, and the braking performance after 20 kilometers did improve once I started to really bed in those brake pads, which is good. Now this shock here on the front, much better than what we had with the A20. My A20 shock would bottom out, hit the mudguard, strike it, and I was really not happy with that. But this one here, you can see, apply a bit of pressure, that there is about maybe 2 inches of travel, maybe a little more, and it's a little stiff, but it's a much better shock. But then again, it is just a no-name brand shock. But we do have a KMC chain, we've got the Shimano gears. Changes with the gears have been perfectly fine for me, so I've had no problems, haven't been grating gears, and I haven't had the chain come off or anything like that, no issues. The changes are typical Shimano, they've been smooth, crisp, and accurate, and no problems there. The power from the motor, so 350, I know there's other models out there with 500, so if 350 is not enough for you, then of course you need to look somewhere else. But I think for the price that it's going to be selling for, which is under, I believe, 800 euros on Indiegogo, I think that's okay, and I would definitely get this model over the original A20 if you have rough roads. The big one for me is the chunkier frame, but these tires. I actually really do like these fat tires. So 4 inches wide, they really help soak up a lot of bumps. If you run a lower PSI, right now I'm running 20 PSI, but if you run even less than that, which these tires can actually do, they soak up then a lot of the rough terrain and help out, just give it a smoother ride, give it a little bit more traction, and even for off-roading a little bit will be okay. But this is not a downhill bike, this is not for trails, definitely not with this suspension setup. This is still more really for roads, a bike like this. So thank you so much for watching my review here of the ADO A20F. I hope to see you in the next up and coming e-bike review. Bye for now.